It was July 14th, 2014. I was sitting at a recertification class for CPR at the airport fire station, like I normally do. Every 2 years I get recertified for my job. I was sitting where you're sitting right now, learning CPR, because I needed it for work. The very next day, July 15th, my husband found our 20-month-old blue and unresponsive in her crib. It had been just a normal day for us. She had gone to sleep like she normally did. It was 12:30 at night, and it just 50-50 whether he's awake at that hour, but he was that night. He heard her cough, like he said 1,000 times before he's heard her cough, but something warranted him to check on her, and he checked in the monitor and saw her doing some rhythmic thing with her hands and just thought that was really weird. Right after that, he went into her room and flipped the light switch on, and her normal response, Colby's normal response, would be to just stand up and get right to the edge of the crib, and she did it. When he flipped the light, she was completely blue and unresponsive. I was already fast asleep, and he let out a scream that I hope none of you ever have to hear. It was a definite cry for help, and I woke right up and I went to her, and by the time he was getting her out of the crib, it's just a feeling that I hope no one ever has to feel. But I grabbed her lifeless body and all her limbs fell to the ground, put her on the ground, and I could hear those firemen talking to me saying, if somebody that doesn't need CPR will not let you do it. I heard them saying, just do something. And yes, I'm a registered nurse. I should know what to do. But in every circumstance, maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't have. I was a mom first. I was freaking out. I was hysterical. But I told myself I need to get it together, and just, I knew what I needed to do. So within 15 seconds, got her down on the ground and started doing compressions. I didn't know what happened to her. I didn't know anything. As soon as my husband gave her to me, he did everything right. He called 911 without hesitation. He grabbed the flashlight. He started waving the first responders down because we live in a really dark cul-de-sac in country Maui. He was running into me to ask me if I needed anything, and I needed my glasses. I couldn't see anything. He did everything right. I can't even tell you exactly at what point I felt like her color had returned. It probably had maybe 30 compressions into it. I don't even know. But once the first responder got there, it was a Maui Police Department officer. She had already, her color had returned. She kind of started breathing irregularly. Got her into the ambulance, and once they got there, maybe like 5 minutes later, her oxygen saturation, normally we should be 97 to 100, she was in the 60s. So I can't even imagine what it was when we found her. She spent a couple of days in the hospital. She's totally fine today. She's 2.5, thriving. She is doing well. Is fine. But the conclusion was that she had a very high spike in her temperature really quickly, and she had a febrile seizure. And it's okay to have seizures, but some people stop breathing, which is not okay, and she needed CPR.